Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Film Club Podcast, where every month we deep dive into a different aspect of cinema, directors, actors, genres, or franchises. It doesn't matter, because it's always fun at the Film Club. I'm Dean.
I'm Becky.
And this month, we're doing November, and we're doing something special this month.
Yeah, November with a twist, where we don't pick the movies, we have our guests pick the movies, which means we have a guest today.
Why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm happy to be back. My name is Thomas Edward. I was here not too long ago. We discussed Mulholland Drive.
Yes, we did, and I think that has the record for the longest episode of the month. I think.
Does it?
I think so. It's either that or Blue Velvet, but Yasmin's Blue Velvet episode, she just shit on it for like an unbroken hour, so I don't know if we can count it. Oh, she hates David Lynch.
She came to play.
Yes.
Wow, I was going to say, like, I kind of like that. I'm kind of like the idea of someone that didn't like a film come on a podcast or anything really and talk about how much they didn't like it and why they didn't like it.
Yeah. Well,
I've never seen Dean be so quiet in an episode before.
I wasn't quiet. I was listening to why she was wrong. All right. She gave her arguments, her opinions that were factually incorrect, you know? But yeah, that's like the best part of David Lynch month was people who really like David Lynch, people who really hated David Lynch, and then what the fuck do we make of some of these movies kind of thing? Yeah. And that's kind of what November's turning into. We started with what the fuck do we make of this movie? And then some,
we're like, it's awesome.
It's pretty awesome. Then we had like a solid tried and true Eastwood.
Yeah.
In this month, we have a movie that some people here might absolutely hate. We have A Serious Man by Joel and Ethan Coen. Came out in 2009. This comes out after, I believe they win the Oscar for No Country for Old Men.
So the timeline is they did No Country, won the Oscar, and then they did Burn After Reading.
Yes.
And then they did this.
Okay, but Burn After Reading, I think, was in the works when No Country was being made.
Roughly, yeah.
Yeah, but this is their first, like, we won the Oscar, we can do whatever we want picture, if I believe.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're doing A Serious Man, and I'm just curious, before we, get started. Thomas, you brought this to the table.
Yes.
Why did you pick A Serious Man out of all the films you could have picked? Especially from the Coen Brothers, because they get a deep filmography.
Yes. I feel like for the Coen Brothers, this is kind of a deep cut for them. Like, and I know other people that love Coen Brothers, like, but they name off the usuals, like Lebowski, Fargo, No Country, Raising Arizona. And I rarely hear about this one. And this one, when it came out, I didn't see it in theaters because it wasn't in theaters for long. I had to watch it at home. But because it's so weird and different from anything else they've done. Mm-hmm. And it's a dark comedy.
Mm-hmm. A pitch black is how I would describe it.
Yeah, like I think at the time one of the reviews was like darker than dark comedy. Like, and I think that's why. And unintentionally, I won't get into it, but this is one of those films, the few films that I watch that I can watch when I'm going through a really very difficult time in my life. Like, I can only really think of two other films that fall into that category, and they're both different. The other one is Fight Club.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And the other one is Clockwork Orange.
Just totally like feel-good family movies,
so, But it's weird because all three of those treat like horrible circumstances with like a lightheartedness to it. And just like those things where
saying about one of the movies that you mentioned is literally banned in half the countries.
Yes, it's just like it's things that are. It's one of those things where I know not everyone can relate to this, but I know there are people out there that can. When something bad happens to you and you've already been through bad shit, you can't help but kind of laugh at that point. That's what those three fall in the category. Like, this is so horrible. That's what this one's like for me. And then soon after, I won't get into it, something happened to me recently that I'm still trying to recover from. So me watching this last night and I finished it this morning was like perfect. I'm like, okay, because I'm big on catharsis, but I can't really watch anything else when I'm in this mood. Like I definitely can't watch anything like actually funny, like like a comedy.
Mhm.
Like even my favorites, like I can't watch Star Wars, can't watch anything, comic booky Marvel. That's just not me. I need dark shit. So, but dark, twisted humor, if anything.
I'm just waiting for like the goth horn to blow, and you're like, excuse me, I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Put the guy liner
No,
on, you
yeah.
fly off on the on
Yeah.
the goth cape.
Pretty much, yeah. So, and that's pretty much the reason. I mean, I know I gave you guys a couple of other picks,
Yeah,
but I'm glad you picked. I think I gave you what the other ones. Like I
It
think
was-
the other two were Fincher.
the other two were Fincher. It was
Yeah.
Panic Room in the game,
Yeah,
and I believe Panic Room we couldn't do because you had already
I'd
seen
already
it
seen it. Yeah.
because it has Kristen Bell in it.
Kristen Stewart.
Kristen
hello.
Stewart.
Yeah.
Sorry, Bella from Twilight.
I mean, I also saw this in the theater when it came out, so this is
Oh, so did I.
pre-Bella. Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, really?
yes,
Yes. Which is surprising that you've never seen it before.
It's the thing where I always heard that Panic Room in the game were the lesser Finchers, and I was like, okay, then because like Zodiac and Up, I'm like pretty well read on Zodiac and Up for Fincher, but like anything before that, I am real hit and miss. I think it's like Seven and Fight Club I've seen, Alien 3 I've seen, but anything other than that, his 90s work, early 2000s, I got nothing. But I'd be happy to come back and do them again. But yeah, I think we ended up picking this one generally because it's a Coen Brothers movies that we haven't seen before, and
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of Coen Brothers.
Yeah.
This is probably their deepest cut for me.
it really flew under the radar.
Yeah.
at the time.
Because I've even seen like Blood Simple, I've
Yeah.
seen like Miller's Crossing, all like their 90s work. But I mean, before we get with the preamble, I'm curious because Boo, you texted me last night, and I believe the words you used was, "I'm 40 minutes in. Does this get any better?"
I mean, it was just, I was waiting for it to pick up because I'm like, okay, we're starting, they're at the school, and I'm like, okay, is this going to be like a flashback leading into the future? We see this guy in the future.
Is this a coming of age kind of deal?
Yeah, I wasn't really sure what we were getting, and then I was just like, oh man, it just keeps getting worse from here. I'm like, this guy's luck is just so bad. I was like, I feel so terrible for him. I'm like, I'm ready to fight somebody.
I'm a little bit in that camp too, because watching it, I'm like, God, this man is fucking bad luck Larry over here. Jesus Christ. But I was like really engaged because it's such a well-made movie. It
Mhm.
looks very good. I'm pretty sure Roger Deakins did the cinematography for this.
I think so.
So it looks like beautiful. And I love the acting in it. I love the performances. The story's going on, but it's a pot boiler. And I'm waiting for it to
Yes.
boil over. I'm waiting for
Mhm.
it to finally like explode. And we're gonna get like some cathartic big ending where Larry finally turns it around or he literally murders his wife. That's literally the only two options here. And then I get to the ending and I'm like, oh, fuck you, Joel and Ethan Coen. Fuck you and
You
your
see-
bullshit endings.
And you think it's funny when, I get hit with those endings. You're like, haha, you don't get any closure.
Well, you get mad at those endings when we do like The Thing. And I'm like, that's the perfect way to end that movie. But yes. And
See-
Thomas is over there with
yeah.
a shit-eating grin being like, yeah, I'm feeling good about this.
I'm so happy that we're talking about this one. I feel like the ending is the explosion
Hmm.
in it, obviously a different way. Like I had this overwhelming swell of emotion the first time I watched it, and then when the ending happened, I'm like, like just like I couldn't, like it was like I've gotten asked here and there, I think even by you, like, would I do a comedy?
Mm-hmm.
And I say yes, but
Because everything you answer is yes, but
this is the kind of comedy I would do.
Okay.
Yeah, I would do something dark like this. Because I laugh at it. I think it's funny. Like there are even times we can get into specifics. There's moments when I know, like, I'm the only one that finds this funny. Just
there are okay. Describing this as a comedy, because I will say this: there are parts in this movie that are laugh out loud funny. I
Yes.
did when the son is stoned out of his mind and he's walking up to do his bar mitzvah and it's doing the weird close-ups
Yeah.
and everyone's looking at him and it cuts to his friend and his friend is
he's like,
fucking
"Oh."
vegetated out and I'm like, okay, that's just hilarious. That's just good shtick.
Yeah.
But I feel those big moments of like laugh out loud comedy in this movie that's really fucking dark is really spaced out a lot, and we get
Yes.
long scenes of suffering, like
Yeah.
Larry suffering.
Mhm.
But we should probably tell people what the movie's about. I have the back of the box, you know. So
All right.
nobody worry. It's okay. I can tell people what it is right now. In a second. Okay. All right, cool. Everybody ready? All
I'm
right.
ready.
Here's the back of the box of A Serious Man. On the days leading up to his son's bar mitzvah, a Jewish physics professor's life falls apart around him as his wife pushes for a divorce, is pressured to accept a bribe, takes care of his brother's legal problems, and so much more as he tries to find out why all of this is happening to him. And all I got it. I almost got it.
I got it, guys. I got it.
And to find out why all of this is happening to him as the answers continue to elude him. Because he keeps asking God, why do you make me suffer? And God's like, that's why. But that's basically the gist of the series, man. It's a telling of the story of Job from the Bible where this guy is just getting shit on for 2 unbroken hours and trying to figure out why it's happening to him, and sadness ensues.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Is that a good description?
Yeah, I think it is. And if I may, for
Please.
for the listeners,
Please.
I have to admire your note taking.
Mm-hmm.
You know, can you hold it up for me, and I'll do my best to describe it.
Oh, please.
Because I'm terrible at note taking. I'm not a note guy, but Dean, you have a beautiful. I'm going to use this word, beautiful handwriting, but it's varied. You have kind of cursive.
Mm.
Well, absolutely cursive, which I can't do anymore, and I'm older than you, so it's embarrassing.
I feel good about my penmanship.
And your penmanship is immaculate. I'm gonna say your cursive is beautiful, and your non-cursive is just. I'm.
He's really hyping me up here because he's
Yes.
about to cut me down when we get into the movie.
No. I mean, well,
it's
the
okay
movie.
because I can cut you down because he doesn't know the trade secret of Dean writes, in non-cursive for the back of the box because he can't read his own writing.
That's what. That's fine.
I just need the gist of my own writing. I need the first and last letter of
But
every
then
word.
he gets really cocky before the episode starts and he's like, I'm going to knock out, the back of the box. And we get there and then like the last 2 lines, he trips over the finish line and he's just like, damn it.
I've done it. I think I've done it every time we've done it back to the box.
Well, when it comes to reading off of a page, no matter typed, handwritten, I'm the same way. I stutter.
Mhm.
I can't do it. But ad-libbing, just making shit up, I'm fine.
Yeah.
In front of an audience,
Mhm.
whatever. But read this. Don't.
Mm-mm.
You should have given me. You should have given this to me last night, because then I could have at least memorized it.
Oh, I'd still be stammering.
And I like in bullet points, like a stand-up comic. I need like bullet points
Mhm.
where I can ad lib.
It's like the kid in the movie where he goes up to read the Torah and he's like, I can't read this, but I remember the song, right?
Yeah. A good example. Like I can't read. I mean, he doesn't know the language at all. He didn't even bother.
I'm just going to memorize the record.
Just the incoherent sounds that he doesn't even understand. I'm very impressed with your penmanship and your note taking.
Thank you. Thomas is trying to get on for next year. He's working on it. I mean, it's working now.
Well, I'm envious because I can't do that. Like I can't. Like my hand cramps up. So I'm a typer. I can only type.
Interesting, if true. But let's get into the movie. I guess
Now he's questioning your typing skills.
I'm questioning your typing skills.
Thomas, take back your nice comments. So be like, you know what? I can type. Thank you.
I mean, I cannot type, but that's a whole different story.
I self-taught typer. I don't do it the right way, so can't judge.
All right, but
Your text
I need
messages
to
are
know.
kind of hard to read sometimes.
I need to know your guys' thoughts on Joel and Ethan Coen before we get into their movie A Serious Man. Do you like them? Are they good? Are they hacks? Have they overstayed their welcome? Is this their last good movie or the first bad movie?
Well, you guys first.
I like them.
You like them?
I like them.
Raising Arizona fan?
Yeah.
I would have described them at one point as like favorite filmmakers,
Yeah.
but I think one of the most recent movies I watched of them in terms of like I watched it recently was like Hail Caesar, and that movie is not nearly as good as I
Had
think.
high hopes for it.
I had a lot more high hopes for it, and I'm watching it and I felt like this was a lot of ideas not executed well. And I feel like there's a lot of movies that I've seen of them more recently that fall into that category. Good ideas not executed well. Serious Man, watching it, I'm almost there, but I feel like there's still a lot of good execution in it, but we're going to get into that. But I would say their 90s run up to their 2000s runs is pretty much immaculate. Like, anything they did from, like, I guess post-Hudsucker Proxy, so Raising Arizona up to, like, No Country is, like, pretty much an immaculate run.
Out of curiosity, did you guys see Ballad of Buster Scruggs?
No, that's one I missed.
Okay. Happy you talk about that one at some point.
Oh, please.
But,
there's a whole nother November coming up.
No, yeah, and that's essentially a Western. So if you have like a Western month,
We might
it's
bring it
fitting.
back.
We
We
might.
had one this
So,
year.
And that's a newer one. That's 2018, 2019.
Mhm.
That was like when they started the
breakup.
well, no, not the breakup, but the whole like let's try Netflix, let's try digital like streaming and theater and see
Mhm.
how that works out. I mean, versus how it is now, that's kind of normal now, which I both like and dislike. I like having the option to go to the theater, but if I can't, then that's cool too. So I'm
Being able to sit home and just stream.
yeah. So
It turns into a thing where some movies you need to see them in a theater.
Yes, yeah.
Like Oppenheimer, I don't think would play well on a TV.
no. I mean, after you see it, sure.
Yeah.
But I'm very glad I saw that in theaters, and I was lucky enough. My girlfriend and I were lucky enough to get. We didn't see IMAX, but we did see film. It was on celluloid.
Mm-hmm.
So hearing that behind us was so nice. Hearing it was nice. I mean, I have mixed feelings about that film, but just getting that experience again for the first time in a long time was wonderful.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as the Coen Brothers, I think I will say they are one of my favorites. They might be in my top 5 because I don't really think about that much. I know both of you should already know who my number 1 is by now.
It should be, well, it's either Fincher or Kubrick.
It's Fincher.
It depends when I asked you living or dead. That's
Yeah.
what that question
I put them
prefix-
all in the same. You know,
Yeah.
just that to me doesn't matter, because their work is what keeps them alive. Fincher's my number 1. Kubrick probably number 2, Scorsese number 3. So I'm just top of my head. I'm like, okay, who's up there? I think I will have to put them in my top 5. But this one, I don't think it's their best film, but I think it's my favorite of theirs. Believe it or not.
Really?
Interesting.
Yes.
Because this feels like so much different than their other work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because, like, I mean, you would describe the Coen Brothers, a lot of their work as they're almost like comedy directors. Like, a lot of their work has a lot
yeah.
of comedy in it.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like you have to pick out pretty specific films of theirs that don't have a lot of comedy. Like, No Control Men is a straight drama,
Mhm.
really.
But there's still a couple of moments.
There's a handful of funny bits into it, but
that,
you
that
wouldn't
feels like their brand of
Mhm.
comedy. Like, oh, that's weird. Like, it's,
like what is it? The lady at the RV park is like, I can't give you that information.
Yeah, and how she looks at him, just like that. And later when Llewellyn goes to he leaves the hospital and he goes in to get some clothes.
Oh, get the
He's
suit.
like,
Yeah.
it's like, do you ever get people with no clothes on? And the tailor was like, no, sir.
That's
That's unusual. Like,
that is
just
unusual.
The delivery and the way they edit their comedic timing is unique to them.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, a lot of their films have, you know, comedies, though a lot of them are pretty dark, you know, or at least they tend in that way. Like, Barton Fink's probably the closest analog to this I
Yeah.
can think of. But even then, this feels like even a step past like their darker work kind of thing. This feels almost like a different like hand was building this
Yeah.
as it was going, which I find really interesting in like directors' work. Because, you know, we can think of a lot of directors where you're like, wait, they made that?
Mhm.
Like, when you think
Yeah.
of Fincher, you're like, he made Alien 3?
Yeah.
Really? You know, or when you think of somebody like, I don't know, like Steven Spielberg, and you're like, he made The Terminal? Really?
Yeah.
Really? I thought that was a Hallmark movie. Like,
Yeah.
stuff like that. But, yeah, so A Serious Man. So, but you would describe this as your favorite.
Yeah. I mean, it's obviously very close runner-ups. No Country, obviously,
Mhm.
but yeah. Granted, there are 2 films of theirs that I haven't seen for 2 different reasons. both you mentioned.
Oh, really?
I didn't see Hail Caesar, not for any particular reason. I just kind of keep forgetting about it. If
It's,
anything,
it's an easy movie to forget.
Yeah. And the other one is
If he says Lebowski, we have to kick him out, right?
No, definitely not. And
Okay.
Lebowski is one of the funniest movies I've ever seen in my entire life, by far.
Had to save himself real quick.
No,
Yeah.
but
yeah.
and it gets funnier every time I watch it. And the other one is Inside Llewyn Davis. That one I have, but there's a specific reason that I haven't seen that. I've specifically avoided that one. I want to see it, but I'm not ready yet. But for a Coen Brothers film, it's fine. Those are reviews I've heard.
Yeah, I mean this movie even got weird reviews like that.
Yeah, oh yeah, I did.
Where people were like, "Oh, one of the greatest films of the 21st century, greatest script of the 21st century," and other people are like, "What dog shit am I watching?" Like, there's no where's the resolution? Like, oh, why is the ending here? Like, why is everyone a caricature? Like stuff like that. Where some of them I'm like, I don't even know what fucking movie you watched. Like some of the character just caricaturing I can kind of see, but it's isolated to like one or two characters. But like, we gonna get into that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so where do you guys want to start? You want to just start from the top and go down?
Because I know this film really well. I kind of want to hear what you two have to say, and I'll bounce off. And like, if you have questions, what did I think of this? Like, what's my interpretation? And I will share what I can based off of what you guys thought.
So, Boo, where do you want to start?
I don't know, because I mean, when we were texting last night and you're, throwing me under the bus, oh, Boo said this.
I'm not throwing you under the bus. I'm being honest.
I want to hear this.
But then Dean was also, I fucking hate everybody in this movie. I swear to God, I'm so pissed off now.
I will own up to it. Watching the movie, I felt so sorry for our main character, Larry Gopnik. Yeah, Larry Gopnik. I felt so sorry for him. Yeah. Like, I felt so much sympathy because, like, okay, he's a little, uptight. He's a little, like, not... Like, I get it. I understand the character. He's a little uptight or whatever. But then it's, like, so much is falling upon him. And I'm like, geez, can anyone give him a break? Also, I hate his wife. Like, his wife is a bitch. Yeah. Also,
Cy fucking Abel, man.
Cy fucking Abel. Fuck that guy and fuck his shoes. Also, fuck his dumb glasses. Fuck that guy. Like, watching this, it's like you're watching like a soap opera, and you're like, fuck that bitch, fuck her, and fuck all of her friends. That's how I felt watching this movie. But it's also weird because the movie starts with this weird like prologue where it's all in like Yiddish, and it takes place in like the old countries of Europe, and they're talking about a ghost, and I'm like, where the fuck does this tie in? What exactly is happening? And then I looked, and then I had to look it up. I had to figure out, why is this in the movie?
I was gonna ask, did you guys look anything up?
I didn't. I was just kind of like, okay, kind of reminds me of Monster Squad. We're just going to roll with it, see where we land.
I was waiting for a time portal. To take us to the 60s. But I looked it up, and I was like, there's got to be a reason this is in here. There's got to be a reason. And the Coen Brothers are like, no, we just wanted to start with a mood piece. It doesn't really mean anything. And I'm like, fuck you both. Fuck you in your shoes.
Knowing what little... We talked about this on the way here. Like, we don't know a lot about the Coen Brothers. Like, really. Like,
yeah.
We get tidbits from cast, crew. But, they really do interviews. And when they do, like, they're very sarcastic. They tend to kind of bullshit. So I wouldn't be surprised if they just didn't want to give it away.
I mean, I feel that's probably the thing where they're like, oh, we're not going to tell you what it is, and we're just going to be kind of, like, aloof about it. Like a David Lynch kind of deal. But there's also a point where I'm like, look, asshole, like, I want to know, like, where does it relate? I just need a hint here, because, like, here's the thing, like, the opening sequence, it looks wonderful. It looks like an old storybook. It is this kind of like Jewish fable where, they invited this person in and they didn't know if it was a man or a demon, and she stabs him, and he laughs, and it's like, all this stuff. It's very interesting. It's very well shot. But then when we get to the actual movie of the 60s, and I'm trying to think in my head, how does this narratively relate? Because there's some thematic parallels, but when they say it's just a mood setter, I'm like, no, fuck you. Where does it where does it narratively relate?
For me, the whole film is summarized in the quote right away.
In the opening quote.
Yeah.
I don't have it written down.
I did write it down.
Thank you.
It's
Thomas is prepared.
yes. Receive with simplicity everything that happens to you. That's Rashi.
Yeah.
That's the whole film. Well, in a nutshell.
Yeah.
There's layers to it, but
Things sometimes just happen.
things just happen. I mean, in the back of the box description kind of nails it. Larry's desperately trying to find why are these things happening? God, whatever.
Did I do something?
Did I do something? And there's a great YouTuber, like, a essay guy. I think it's Nerd Writer.
I think I watched his video of this, and it made me more angry.
See, if anything, that helped. I feel. I mean, why are all these bad things happening? And even and his disgruntled student says it just like when he goes. I know we're again jumping around part of the podcast.
I mean, it comes up like really close after this.
Yeah, it comes up really close. Just like, he tells them actions have consequences. He goes, yes, often. And he gets angry, like, they always do. But
easy, dude. You're about to break this
No,
table. You have to pay for this.
I was just mimicking what he does in the film. Like, he slaps the table, and I'm just like, but what he says, like, yes, often. Like, I feel like that's it. Like, actions sometimes have consequences, but also, like what Nerd Writer said, inaction also can have consequences. And also, so like doing something could leads to this, but not doing something could also lead to this or something else. Yeah. And Larry's just trying desperately to find meaning in all of it, and it doesn't matter. Like, it's not God. It's not, because I did this one thing,
it leads into another.
That's the reason, and it's hard not to think that way. I think that way too. Mm-hmm. Just like, why are these things happening? Oh, it's because I didn't do this, or because I did this when I should have done this. And
it's should I have taken the left road or the right road? Yes. It's that whole thing. Like, I mean, talking about the bribe, because that's basically like once we get out of the prologue and get to like the real stuff of Larry, it's like, he has like, I don't know how much in that envelope, a shit ton of money. And
several grand. Like
students trying to bribe him to get a good grade, and that is like the pot boiler. Yeah. What is he going to do? Because he's like a moral man. He's like, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to turn this in. But because things keep coming up, he can't give the money back. So you're waiting for that shoe to drop. Is he going to give him the good grade and keep the money, or is he going to turn it in and do the quote unquote right thing? Right.
Lose his tenure as well.
And lose his tenure. And it's like, that's where we're waiting for the shoe to drop. And when it finally does, and it's like, did him breaking his morals, is that what led into it? Because of how it's set up, and it's like that's
pretty good.
It's a good divine intervention. Like, that's like pushing into the thing of because he did this, then that happened. Even though we pushed upon him, this was his test of faith. Will he maintain his morality as a good man, or will he break from the pressure? And if he breaks from the pressure, then he shall be punished. Mm-hmm. But if he doesn't, then he shall be fine. Yeah. Because this feels like a Bible story.
It does. I mean, it is.
Yeah, because it's Job, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool. I didn't go to no fancy, churching. I didn't have a church upbringing, so I'm going off of VeggieTales.
It's been a while, but I did read the Bible twice.
All right. But it's the story of Job, right? Job is basically, God's like, I'm going to keep messing with Job to prove that he has faith, and by the end of me messing with him, that will be the test of his faith, if he believes in me or if he does not. And that's how he beats the devil. And it never goes into like, well God, did did Job get a new car at the end? Like, does he get a prize? It's like, no, shut up. Like, that's like the whole thing about that. But that's what The Serious Man feels like. It feels like this biblical story just set in 1960-something Minnesota.
Mm-hmm. And the question is, was he going to get that call anyway?
Mm-hmm.
The thing that will rattle your mind forever. you know, in terms of like, you know, faith or in the realm of this, like Larry's probably going to think about that forever.
Yeah,
If I maintained
like the vase in the Matrix, and when Neo goes to see the Oracle, when he first meets her,
and drops the vase,
just like, don't worry about the vase, and he breaks it. Oh, that vase, you know, he's, oh, I'm sorry, that vase, and she goes, oh, what's really gonna cook your noodle is, would you have broken it if I wouldn't have said anything?
The Matrix.
Are you having a crisis now?
I'm a little bit of a crisis. Yeah,
like I wish you were like recording it on film.
It's a thing because that is the heart of the movie.
Yeah,
Larry continually says, it's like his catchphrase. If you made a Larry doll, it's, what did I do? I didn't do anything. Why is this happening?
Why is this happening? What's happening? What's going on?
And it's almost like a thing. It's like, it's happening because it is. I think that's the thing, because everybody he talks to tries to confide himself with. Because I think once he gets home after the bribery, that's when his wife is like, we're getting a divorce, Larry. I'm leaving you.
Totally caught off guard.
Totally caught off guard. And he's like, everything was going fine.
Yeah.
And she's like, you knew this was coming for years. And he's like, no, I didn't.
Yeah.
And it's like, every time he just tries to find answers, like when he asks people, like, or when he tells people, yeah, we're getting a divorce, and they're like, really? But why?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I don't know. And I honestly don't know either. Like the whole Cy Abelman thing, everyone treats that guy as like this pillar of the community. Mm-hmm. It's Cy Abelman.
Like,
oh my God.
Like every time he's brought up, like, just again, like, I find these moments funny. Like when he goes to see his lawyer, it's like, oh, she is planning to marry Cy Abelman. And the lawyer's like, Cy Abelman?
This isn't
like,
even
just,
cold.
Yeah, just like the way he says it, like the deliveries in these are just so. And then like, oh, they like oh, and she wants a get. They're like, a what? Like they have no idea what he's talking about, even though they're all, you know, just how everyone's confused.
Yeah.
But he seems to be the only one that is trying to find answers, and everyone is just like kind of like, even like, you know, when he goes to see the rabbis, and well, two of them, one of them won't see him, but even the ones that are trying to search for answers, like Rabbi Scott, the junior rabbi,
played by Wolowitz.
Wolowitz, yes, I was very excited to see him.
Just like what is he like? What, like the look in the parking lot, Larry.
See the joy in life.
Just look at that parking lot. I love that shit so much. Like I find that funny. Like even down to like, we're jumping around, but it's fine. I'm just like, I by the way, I took like no notes. Like I showed you, I have 3 notes and they're just quotes.
Yeah,
that's it.
Well, that's the thing. This movie it's a series of misfortunes.
Yes.
Is a lot of it. Because it doesn't have a thing where Larry is our protagonist that needs to achieve X so he can get, you know, goal Y or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not that kind of story. It's almost like a character study of this guy's downfall. It's basically like it's the story of like, what is it? Every Coen Brothers movie. We're going to have, okay, Joel, what are we going to do? Got it. We're going to have a guy who's basically a decent, upstanding guy. All right, got it. Now what are we going to have him do? Go through the worst thing a decent, upstanding guy can ever have happen
it's
to
a
him.
theme. Like even Lebowski, like had this like laid back, like chill stoner guy that everyone loves. He goes by the dude, who's, according to them, a real guy that lived in LA that they knew. They're like, what if we put this guy through some weird shit? Like, just like, that's what it is, and show how not chill he is.
Or like, you know, you have Barton Fink, and it's like, here's a guy who's like, he's a little, you know, full of himself, but he's a generally decent guy trying to, you know, write stories about the people. And now we're gonna give him writer's block and have his neighbor be a serial killer, and it's just gonna go horribly wrong for him. And it's the theme of so many of their movies.
Yeah. And
this one is like, but where's the joy? Where's the light at the end of the tunnel? It's just
like,
so dark. It's so cold.
And then you get a little bit. Like he gets, like, just like, it's like he's going to get tenure. Like, yeah, he's going to get it. Like, oh, but what's the price? Like, that's how I kind of live unintentionally. I can't help it. Mm-hmm. How I live my life. Whenever something good happens to me, I'm like, what's coming?
The shoe's gonna drop.
I totally get you.
I'm gonna pay for this somehow.
You're gonna win the lottery one day, and you're like, we're getting the compound. It's coming for me. I don't know what it is, but I'm gonna have a shark attack.
I had a dream not 2 nights ago that I won the lottery, and in the dream I was terrified. I was like, I need to do everything I can to make sure nobody knows. Nobody knows at all. Like, I got a good job. That's it. No Ferraris, no giant houses. I'm getting an apartment. There's no sign.
And you want to ask a question, just like I got a good job.
I got a
It's
good job.
fine.
I'm good.
I'm doing
Yeah.
IT over the phone.
Yeah, I didn't go out and buy a car. I leased it, of course.
Yeah.
Like, just things like that. So just like, but yeah, just like, what's the price? What's gonna good shit doesn't happen without something bad happening.
Exactly. And then Dean's, over here, sunshine and rainbows. Everything's beautiful. And I'm just like, there's a catch. Something's going to happen.
Sometimes you take the W, all right? See, that is like the thing with this movie in particular. It feels like, I'm waiting for the W. I'm waiting for Larry to have a W, and I'm seeing everyone else around him just looking at him, and they're like, it's fine, Larry. Life's not that bad. And he's like, I literally saw one of my lawyers die today. It's that bad. It's like, look at the bright side. Where's the bright side? And I think that's the thing, is why I'm so wrapped up in Larry and the movie, is like, I'm watching it and I'm like, this is one of the best examples of sympathy for a character I've seen, where I'm like, I really want this guy to win.
Mm-hmm.
But then, but everyone around him, I'm like so angry that they just can't like see that he's suffering. Like the rabbis, right? I think it's the second rabbi where he's telling the story about the
teeth,
the goy's teeth,
the goy's teeth. He has the Hebrew words for save and love and blah blah blah, and they're like, well, what's that mean? He's like, what do you mean, Larry? It doesn't mean like what do you mean? He's like,
why are you telling me the story?
Yeah.
And he tells him this whole story, and it's like this thing where you're waiting for it to be like, oh, this fable, it's something that's gonna like inspire you, and it's like,
and he stops.
He just stops, and he's like, don't worry about it. And it's like, well, what did you say to the guy? And he's like, I don't know. I said, go be nice to people. He's like, what?
Go do nice things.
He's like, how does that help me? He's like, it was supposed to help you? No, it was just a story, You're supposed to see something in it. What am I supposed to see? It's the thing where Larry cannot see what these people are telling him, because the first rabbi, about the parking lot. Just see the joy in life, Larry. It's such cliche stuff he's giving him. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I mean, yeah, I guess Larry could be like, yeah, things are going bad, but, I got 2 happy, healthy kids for the most part. Yeah, my wife's leaving me, but, like, I got a good job. I got tenure coming up. It's like the thing where he's so wrapped up in the bad end of his life, he can't see any good. Even
like you
though
can't
the
see
good,
that your son is constantly stoned.
His sister is
he's out running these beatings every day.
His daughter is actively trying to be away from the family and house as much as humanly possible.
That woman is just trying to wash her hair. That is the majority of this movie. Trying to get in the bathroom to wash her hair.
That gag right there, I laughed every time. What is it, Uncle? What?
Arthur.
Uncle Arthur's still in the bathroom. I'll be out in a minute.
Yeah. Jesus Christ! Like
he's been out there. He's been in there for 3 hours. Yeah. Honey, why is your hair still in a towel? Uncle Arthur's not out of the bathroom yet. Oh, we'll wait for him. No, we're not. We're not waiting for him, Larry. But yeah, there's stuff like that in the movie where it's like, where look at the bright side, Larry. I know that there's not a lot there, but like there's like 2 things. Focus on the 2 things. Your hot neighbor would probably bone you if you gave it a shot. If you threw a pass across that bow, it'll probably happen. Your wife's banging Cy Abelman. Give it a shot.
Let your hair down.
Let your hair down.
Let your hair down.
But yeah.
I mean, he does get stoned.
He does get stoned. He does have a stoner moment. Is there something going on? Is the neighbor supposed to be a symbol of like that temptation, right? Like another like obstacle that he has to like basically prove himself against. If we're taking the viewpoint that this is like God is doing this, like there's some intelligent design here, which whatever, it's a movie, we'll say it is an absolute. Is the neighbor specifically there just to be a temptation for Larry?
In part, I would say, because he's obviously attracted to her, but I think it's also it could also be another us being shown like everyone has their way of disassociating from whatever troubles they're having, because she mentions her husband's like never home, he's always traveling. So what she does kind of listens, she blasts music, she gets high, like someone else in the film, like like his son, like just. I mean, he's not listening to me. Well, yeah, he is. Airplane.
But
Which,
granted,
don't blame him.
Jefferson Airplane's pretty good.
Yeah,
I do like the
so-
soundtrack of the
Yeah.
movie. It's
Yeah.
very like
And
I
very
get the
fitting.
vibe.
It's very fitting, especially the one song, like which we hear more than once. So I think it's just a reminder that everyone has their thing to distract themselves from whatever troubles they're going through. But he I think the temptation is. I think it's necessary for all of us to have that. I mean, for me, it's whenever my brain capacity can do anything creative, because I get bottlenecked very easily. Like if I'm going through a lot, like the creativity just stops.
Yeah.
There's just too much shit. Like I need a good flow. Like I'm struggling with that, but like games, like I'm playing World of Warcraft. That's helping me, and watching films like this. Those are what help me. Some people drink, some people get high. Like I think it's just I think it's a temptation, but it's more of like he needs to find something to
Just see that. Just relax.
and he's the only one not doing that, because he's constantly struggling to find answers,
Even in his sleep.
yeah, even in his sleep.
And I'm that kind of person too, where if I'm having issues or struggles, I'll dream about it.
Yeah,
So there's
same
no
here.
escape.
No, so
I mean, there's some like really good dream sequences in the movie.
Dude, when Uncle Arthur gets shot in the boat,
And then he's like, "Look, son, there's another Jew. Get him!"
I was like, what the fuck?
Oh god, that caught me so off guard.
Yeah.
yeah,
I legit was like, you know what? This is the W. This is the W, Larry.
yeah,
You're doing it.
You're helping your brother.
You're helping your brother. Your
Yeah.
brother's not that bad of a guy. You know, it's getting the W.
They had me at that scene when I first saw it, but then I was like, wait.
You're like, this isn't that kind of movie.
I was like, what are you guys doing? What's gonna happen? And then he gets shot, and then there's another Jew, son. Like, just he wakes up. I was again. If I saw this in theater, I would have pissed a lot of people off.
You just
I
been
was-
rolling.
I was laughing. I had to pause. I remember. I'll never forget. I was by myself at home watching it on my computer. I was crying. I was like, I had to pause because I just wasn't expecting. That's their weird humor.
Yeah.
What's the craziest shit that you could have written in that moment? And I feel like that's it. Just like his brother gets shot, and his neighbors,
His
there's
neighbors
another
that he
Jew.
suspects of being a
Yeah.
white supremacist.
Like there's another Jew, son. Like, oh my god, and the way he wakes up and screams.
Not
it's
just like when he looks over at his brother and he goes, "Was the thing at the pool real?"
Yeah, was that
And
real?
he's
and
like,
Uncle Arthur just
yeah.
shakes his
Yeah.
head like,
Because
yeah.
even we were wondering, like, did that really happen?
Did he really run that funny to
Yeah.
the pool?
That's the thing. Like the movie is crafted in this way where they're like, oh, that like you said, it's like, what is the most ridiculous thing that could happen here?
Yeah.
And it's like the dream sequence where he's banging the neighbor,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden she just disappears inside. It's like, sorry, Larry, and he starts burying him,
Yeah.
and I'm like, what
Yeah,
the fuck?
Nailing it down, like just like, and she's just doesn't give a shit.
She's just like,
She's just smoking, just like whatever, and he's into it, and just like, and the boards start coming up. It just gets more outlandish with every dream sequence, and just like even this it's the little moments in this I love that I find funny. Like, allow me to give you another example that, again, I don't know if you probably didn't laugh at the majority of what I laugh at. Like when I'm assuming, I think it's his sister that they're at a little park, and there's a lake.
Yeah.
I think it's his sister, or it's supposed to be, or a family member, and his brother's out, and they're talking about what's going on, and when his brother comes back out, and both the editing, the sound design, the delivery,
You should bottle this out, Larry.
Yeah,
You
just
can make a
like-
mint.
just, and then the boom at the end, like I can't help but laugh. It's like, it's like, oh, this air is magnificent. If you could bottle this air, you'd make $1 million. And just the cut is just so perfect. Like their comedic timing, it's so weird. And again, the delivery, because I feel like if anyone else was in that part, it wouldn't have worked as well.
Yeah.
We should talk about Uncle Arthur.
Yeah.
Because he is a whole like can of worms in and of himself. Because
He's always getting into trouble.
I heard this analogy. I can't remember what podcast or where I heard it from, but when they talk about directors, it's like a lot of directors, they take you through a single pan door into this little world, and they're leading you along and showing you the story. The Coen Brothers, they open warehouse stores, and everyone's just kind of doing shit, and you're just thrown in there and say, get to the other side. Yeah. So you're seeing all these characters that already have these internal lives going through, and they're in the middle of their own stories, and you don't know how it begins or ends, but you see them in the middle. Arthur's going through the middle of his own dark, depressing search of the soul.
You can make a film just about him.
Yeah.
Easily.
Because he's staying with them because he's like had a breakdown discovering some sort of like physics thing.
Yeah.
Where
he's unemployed.
He's like, I'm discovering this math proof that'll predict every answer to the universe.
The Mentaculus.
The Mentaculus. And he's using it to win at cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, when he saw the Mentaculus for the first time, I'm like, that's something the Dean would come up with. He's like, look, I have this book. I want you to read it.
I am not that insane, all right? It looks like something that looks like something that the killer in Seven would have on his shelf,
it looks
all right?
Insane.
Because it's all these math and equation stuff, and it's implied that, Larry's a physics professor, he's out of college, he's getting tenure, but his brother is implied to be like the same level of genius, if not more so.
Yeah.
And he's like, when they get to the pool, when he finally has his breakdown and Larry starts seeing that his brother is even worse than he is, like, yeah, Larry has the family, Arthur doesn't. Larry has a home. Arthur is bumming with him at his like stag fucking motel now. And he's like, I can't even play cards anymore, Larry. They banned me from playing cards with them. And then Larry's like, poor Arthur. Poor Arthur.
He's like, damn, I thought I had it bad.
Yeah.
But
he's even trying to get him to stop cursing. Don't say that word. Can't say shit. Can't say fuck. Larry's trying to, on the outside, keep everything together, and it's just not working.
Who's the actor that plays Uncle Arthur? I've seen him in
Richard Kind.
Richard Kind? That guy is great.
No, he's great.
He's so funny in this. Well, when he's not seriously depressing and sad and going crazy and not draining his fucking nexus.
Yeah.
Where did they come up with that?
The sound of that?
Oh.
Like, I wonder, like, when this came out, like, in, like, the Coen Brothers did say, like, this is like their most personal film they've ever made. And people ask, is this autobiographical? And they're like, no. So
you're like, oh, no.
I wonder how much of this is, even if it's a couple things, how much of this is from what they experienced?
Yeah.
Because they're Jewish. They did grow up in Minnesota. That I know. And they're in like the timeline of this, they would have been like the son's age when this is happening.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, how much truth is there to this?
Yeah.
I'm very curious about that, because it feels like, even if they're like it's not autobiographical at all, I'm like, a lot of what the kid's doing is probably pretty close. Were you baked at your bar mitzvah, Joel? You can tell us.
Dad,
it's safe
Channel
now.
5 still isn't working.
Yeah, just like, is it F Troop?
I felt so bad for Larry. He's just, ready to break. What's happening? Channel 5 still isn't working, Dad. You didn't fix it. Like, bro, I would have come home and kicked the shit out of that kid.
Yeah.
Like,
okay,
do you know what I'm going through?
That's a real question. At what point would you have had your blow up moment? Because Larry doesn't blow up at all through the film. He
gets close.
He gets real close.
As soon as Cy Abelman went over and touched my hands, I would have,
thrown
him over the table.
Oh, I love that scene. Like it's funny because you mentioned earlier, like some of the characters are referred to as caricatures.
Yeah.
They are, but I've known people like that. Just like Cy Abelman, someone who's extremely intelligent.
He's condescending.
But he's condescending, but trying not to seem like he's very pretentious. Just like, I'm just trying to help you. Like, just like when he puts his hand, it's like, sometimes if I count to 10, it's like 1, 2, and then he does it
slower than that, dude.
And just how Larry's just like trying to tolerate it. He's trying to keep himself together, and then
that's when I thought, I'm like, he's gonna jump over the table.
Yeah,
We finally
just-
get it.
And then like when he starts, or silently, how he just nods his head, how he just
And the best part is his wife even cuts off Sai because it's taking too long. Because
Yeah.
I kept track with Sai. He only got up to 8, and she was like,
Yeah.
"Look, Larry, okay."
Yeah, she can't. So just I've known people like that, unfortunately. Like just like when he first sees him, he's like everything's gonna be fine. Gives him a hug, and he's just like, "What the fuck? Just don't touch me."
And they're like,
just-
"We're gonna need you to move out, Larry." And Larry's like, "Why can't you move in with Sai?" Well, that's just all beyond
Yeah.
the question,
He's like,
Larry.
You are jesting. Like just
You
that
surely
makes-
you jest.
Yeah, it just like that does make sense. It just like you can't like again like you feel bad for Larry, like really bad, because all this bad shit just keeps happening. He's being forced to pay for Sai's funeral,
Which
that
is
was
like-
just like, oh.
That's also another, because I guess that's a reveal. Sai, you think Sai is gonna be this pinnacle of Larry's destruction. Larry's
Yeah.
getting worse, Sai's getting better, and you think that's what's gonna happen. Sai dies, what, 30 minutes into the movie?
Yeah.
He's not in a lot of the movie. Then he
No.
only shows up in dream sequences. But Sai dies in a car crash, and Larry ends up getting like societal pressure into paying for his funeral.
because everyone loves him. Like just
Yeah. Oh
I would
my
be like,
God.
fuck that guy.
yeah.
That guy's, screwing around with my wife. You think I'm going to pay for his funeral now?
That's
Fuck
the other
that.
thing. When his wife is like, "We haven't done anything physical, Larry. I wouldn't have done that to you." And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
No.
No. Like, let's be honest here. Larry, Sai banged your wife, and like that unforgivable. Sai Abelman, really? Edith isn't even cold yet.
In that powdered blue golf outfit? No.
Mm-hmm. It is also another weird thing where, Sai dies in a car crash, and it's implied that it happened the same time that Larry gets into another car
Mhm.
crash. And it's like, that's another one of those weird, is that intelligent design? Did that
Yeah.
mean anything? And that's another thing that drives Larry fucking crazy. Does
Yeah.
that mean something?
Like is
Did
he-
God choose me to
Yeah.
survive?
Yeah, is he saying that I'm Sai? He's trying so hard to figure this out, but it's
Everyone's like, I don't know.
it's just a coincidence.
It's just
You
happens,
just
Larry.
like it's trying to find answers to good things and bad things is part of life, whether you believe in a higher power or not. I mean, there's probably some people that are like, I don't give a shit what I don't think about these things, but I certainly fucking do.
Yeah.
Well, it's the thing where that's a very human thing
Yeah.
to question. It's like, well, did this happen for a reason?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, what Rube Goldberg thing happened
Yeah.
that got me to this point? Like, there's got to be something. A butterfly flapped his wings, and there's a hurricane in
Yep.
Japan.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
but God, but yeah, talking about the caricatures, because Sai Abelman does come off as a little bit of like the caricature of the like pretentious intellectual like Midwestern Jewish guy. But the caricature I pointed out or wanted to point out is Clive, who is like a stereotypical Asian character, like the Asian college student, because he has the broken English. He is like, "I can't get failing grade. I will bring me great dishonor." I
Yeah.
think he says those lines.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he says it that way, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Joel, Ethan, like, come on, guys. Mickey Rooney's been dead for a while. I thought we got past Breakfast at Tiffany's here. But yeah, that is one of those characters where I get a little like weirded out by, because he does bring up like, oh, it's a culture clash.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well,
Larry,
his father, yeah.
his
Yeah.
father, yeah. And he's like, well, is your culture to bribe for good grades? And he's
And the
like,
dad's like, yes.
yes.
Yeah.
Joel, Ethan, what are you doing here? But
I
yeah.
mean, you've made your teachers cry, because you won't stop talking.
No, I made my teacher cry because I was mean to them. That's totally different. Yeah.
That's fair.
yeah.
Especially if they deserved it.
He started it. All right. But yeah, it's like that's one of those things where I'm like, okay, I can see where people like critics are getting at,
Mhm.
but it's like there is an implication of it being like thematically resonant because it is like it's a culture clash. Like Larry is like, that's almost a thing where it's like my morals and your morals are different because of our cultures.
Mhm.
For Clive and his father, it's like, no, this is just a normal thing. There's nothing wrong with it, Larry. And he's like, no, there's everything wrong with it. That's not how it's supposed to work.
Mhm.
And it's almost like when people are like, well, your religion dictates your societal morality.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, is it the same answers you're looking? Would Larry get more answers if he went to the Buddhist temple
Yeah.
kind of thing? Was that like a thing it's implying? But yeah, I thought that was an interesting thing.
Yeah. Which, fun fact, in case you didn't know, the actor that plays Clive's father is the same actor that played in Fargo when Margie goes to visit her old high school friend.
Oh,
That's
really?
why he looks familiar.
Same guy.
Okay. Now that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. So, which I
What
thought
more
was
you
great.
know?
I'm like, holy shit! Like, just
You're like, I know that guy.
yeah, yeah. It's like, what's? Oh, that's right. He was. I think Mikey was the character's name in Fargo. I might have that wrong. I have to look it up. But
It's been so long since I've seen Fargo. That's a
I-
movie I should go back and rewatch.
You should. I love Fargo.
Have you seen the show?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
But I've heard good things.
I've heard wonderful things
Yeah.
about the show.
But
Haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it?
There's-
No, I haven't seen it.
there's so much shit I need to watch. Like I recently finished rewatching for the 5th time Better Call Saul.
Bro, I understand you love Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, but you're on rewatch 10. Just watch something else. Watch some Simpsons, maybe some King of the Hill.
I love The Simpsons. I have a reference for everything when it comes to The Simpsons. Allow me to drift off the path a little bit. Give you a direct example.
Well, we're talking about All American Families right now.
Yes.
Come on.
No, I love The Simpsons so much. I'm the only one I know that loves as well. One other person, but that's it. Everyone else, that loves it more than me. Everyone else, yeah, I watched it when I was a kid. So I was like, no. You gotta watch it as an adult. It's different.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. The first 9 seasons of it are completely different the older you
Yeah.
get.
I have them on my hard drive. For 2 decades now, but no, down to little things. Like earlier this year, my girlfriend, she was like, you know what, she asked, because I have a thing where I was like, do you want me to make you dinner? Like, you're welcome to send me requests.
Mm-hmm.
And she said that she's been wanting clam chowder.
Oh,
So right away, for our Simpsons listeners, fans, right away, my response to her requesting clam chowder, I said, chowder. So there's
Say it right.
Yes. So in the Simpsons, if you know, I'll leave it at that. That I'm not going to explain it further. I have a reference for everything. A recent one too. My girlfriend got a little bit of chocolate on her pants, and my immediate response was, "Oh, nothing gets chocolate out." See, I'm going to leave it at that. For my Simpsons fans out there, you're going to know what it is. I can't help it. And I'll even show her the clip,
mm-hmm.
and she'll be like, "You showed this to me already." Just
You're sitting there. You're like, yeah, but it's a different reference from the same
Yeah.
clip. All right.
It doesn't matter.
There's layers
It's
to
different this time.
Yeah, it just.
Oh.
But anyway, no, I love The Simpsons, Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul. Which, by the fucking way, I'm telling you, you need.
I've tried
I don't-
3 times.
I don't care.
I
No.
can't, man.
both have you?
I haven't seen it,
Okay.
but I think I'd make it further than he would.
Both of you, I need to not try. Don't try.
Just
you know.
push through.
There is
it.
no try.
Yes, thank you, Yoda. There is do or do not. There is no try.
That's how I was with Twin Peaks for you.
Yes.
There was no try. I just pushed my way through.
I love Twin Peaks.
Yes.
Twin Peaks is great.
I promise, by the end of Breaking Bad, when you're done with it, you're going to be, you know what, Thomas, you were right.
Look. I'll try. You know what?
we
I
just
will.
discussed
I
there is
will.
no try.
There is no. I will push through all of Breaking Bad for you.
When
Okay,
both of you
I'll
were
do
right-
that. But
when
I
bo-
still
when both
feel
of you-
Sopranos is going to be my favorite.
I mean, that's fine. Sopranos, even Vince Gilligan said, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Sopranos.
Dean loves the gabagool.
No,
The gabagool.
I mean, perfect. A perfect ending. I don't care I love the ending of Sopranos. The whole point is we're supposed to feel that anxiety of what's going to happen next.
Mhm.
We don't know without spoiling anything. But those of you who know, that's the point.
Looking over your shoulder for the rest of your life. It might as well be
That's
dead.
the whole point. And going back to Serious Man, the whole point is we don't have answers.
Nope.
Not definitively. I'm going to get a little philosophical here for how I view life, the whole meaning of life thing. I have felt there by default, there is no meaning to life. By default, life is meaningless and pointless, and it's not really that important. Considering how the universe itself treats how it is, how overly destructive and brutal and gorgeous it can be.
Mm-hmm.
Because of how life is by default, it doesn't have meaning. However, it's up to us to give it meaning.
To create meaning.
Mm-hmm.
But by default, no. And
I mean,
whenever,
as stated in the great film City Slickers,
Oh God.
you know what that meaning in life is? It's this.
Mhm.
Your finger? No. That one thing.
That one thing.
That's the meaning in life, and you got to find out what that one thing is.
Mhm.
I'm just saying, City Slickers,
You
greatest
are,
philosophical text.
You are absolutely right. I didn't think about that until now, and I love City Slickers, both of them.
Oh, City Slickers 2, Search for Curly's Gold.
Mm-hmm.
That movie slaps harder than people remember it.
Yeah,
That movie is
doesn't
great.
get enough credit.
Man, fuck, we should watch City Slickers. Yo, dog, you down for a City Slickers marathon after this?
Absolutely.
Hey, I just barely got you to watch Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Oh, I'd never seen it before.
It's great.
Guess where I watched it?
Where?
On the plane ride back from Wisconsin.
That's perfect.
I watched it on a plane, and I was like, dude, I fucking hate flying. Flying is like my least favorite thing to do on planet Earth. On the way to like where I was going, I'm like, I got to put on a comfort movie, something that's gonna like, you know, calm me, something that I've seen a lot, like a movie I had as a child. So I watched Predator, because Predator is a great film.
Awesome.
I thought you were gonna watch The Evil Dead.
I was going to, but I didn't have Evil Dead for my laptop. I had
Wow.
Predator. I know.
Wow.
I have every version
Fake
of Evil
fan
Dead.
here.
Oh, so rude. But yeah, it's great. I'm watching Predator, and I forget in my head, I'm like, there's a lot of people around me. They're gonna look over like, what the fuck are you watching?
They're
and then
not
they see
gonna
Predator.
care.
You're goddamn right. I'm watching Predator.
My mom literally watched Predator in the seat behind me as we're flying, and she's like, I don't even need the audio. This movie's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, on the way back, I was like, I just did the in-flight movie, and it was fucking Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, and I'm like, this is just lovely.
It's
That's
great.
a 5-star movie.
Absolutely.
Oh. But yeah, that's another one of those movies that almost parallels a Serious Man, where everything goes wrong for Steve
Yeah.
Martin's
Mhm.
character, and it's like, but in a Serious Man, Larry has no one to confide in with what's going on. He tries to with the rabbis. You know, it's not like Steve Martin where he has John Candy to
Yeah.
be like, you know, at least we're into this together. Even though you are the source of all my pain, at least you're here to sympathize with
But
me.
I feel like Larry gets in his own way, where he does have somebody. He has his brother. He could confide in his brother. His wife's unhappy. She wants to divorce, but he never really sits her down and says why.
Yeah.
Give me the reasons why this isn't working.
She always gives the flippant answer of, you knew this was coming. We've been both
It's like
unhappy.
no. It's like
Vague.
you need to tell me.
Yeah, like specifically.
Mhm.
Like, what was it? Was I just not there for you? Was I rude to you?
Mhm.
Did we not have enough sex? Like,
Mhm.
what is it?
Yeah.
Like, you need to tell me.
And then it's like they could tell that their kids are unhappy and they question it, but they let them go. It's like no. It's like get your ass back here. What's going on? Why is money an issue? Why do you want to fix your nose? What's going on?
It'd be so. I was waiting for the scene where his son would finally come up to his dad and be like, "Look, Dad. All right, I need $20 because this bully's gonna beat me up." And his dad would have been like, "Why?" And he's like, "I really can't tell you, but you have to trust me." And he's like, I was waiting for that moment, that like scene, because those are the two parallel stories going on, where it's his son, his bar mitzvah is gonna happen, and he's gonna become a man, and he has the problem with the bully because he bought some weed and he owes him $20. And Larry's story is going through the trials of Job or whatever, and they both kind of reach the moment at the end. And do we want to talk about the end? Because I feel that's a big, heavy thing thematically. Because it reaches at the end. Larry, the boil finally spills over, and Larry's like changes the grade, gives the kid a C-, and he's like, that's his thing. I'm gonna accept the money. Why? To pay for his brother's legal bills.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a thing of like he's being greedy. He's literally doing the bad thing to help do a good thing. And that's when the phone rings. It's implied that his doctor's like, we found something in your x-rays. You probably have cancer. Like, God is going to smite you down.
Yeah.
While a tornado is coming at his son's school, and they're getting ready to go into the basement. And his son finally has the $20 to give to his bully. And when he's going to, he sees that the bully's not the problem. This tornado coming at him. It's like you have reached adulthood, and now you're just
You're
problem,
a man.
You're a man now. The problems of a child are now over. Now the problems of adulthood are coming upon you, and that's represented by the tornado. At least that's how I read it. And for Larry, it's like, you tried everything you could, but the tornado has hit you.
Yeah.
The tornado of life is finally, this is it. It's all chaos, and now this is the aftermath.
How are you going to deal with it? Or are you going to survive it?
Yeah.
Just No, I think I was wondering what you felt about the ending, and
I really liked it.
yeah.
Even though it's not, one of my favorite things, I like closure, but I was kind of like, that kind of feels like, I do something and then, 100 things, go wrong afterwards.
Yeah.
And it's like, I kind of like, seeing that play out and just, what is going to happen? I mean, it's a tornado, but they'll probably be safe. There's a bunker built underneath, the school. Larry,
even if it's at the very last moment, they get in there and they're fine.
Larry, if they did find something, if it is cancer, because, they're talking about, his bones and stuff, maybe they found it soon enough that they can help him. Yeah. It's all these.
I love your beautiful optimism in a movie that is nothing but sadness and pain.
I mean, well, that's
life.
That's it. It happens. People do recover from cancer, even really bad cases.
Yeah.
And even people have survived, like being in a house where they don't have a shelter.
Yeah.
And they were hit by a tornado. Their house is in pieces, but they're fine.
They're like, I landed over here, but miraculously I'm okay.
I have a broken arm. That's it. Like
it's that. I think it's just interesting how you read it, where it's that beautiful like optimism. It's like that thing where people say it's like, how do these people survive life sentence in prisons, right? Where it's like you're never gonna get out. And it's the thing where it's like there's a kernel of hope in everybody. They say life sentence, but that doesn't mean life. There's a kernel of hope that'll get you through the day. And it's like at the end of this, after all the pain and suffering that Larry's gone through, it's like at the end of it, it's like there's a kernel of hope. It can work out.
Yeah.
It can work out. And I think that's an interesting view of the ending of the film.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm also really happy you actually did like the ending, because
I
you did
did
not seem to like the rest of the movie.
Well, because I was waiting for it, because I didn't do any research on it. All these movies that we're doing this month, I try not to look at anything just to see where I can stream it.
Yeah.
And it says drama comedy, and I was like, okay, I'm waiting for it. And I'm like, I'm not really getting hit with like the comedy that I expected. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, we're going for a real subtle dark comedy. Yeah. But then I was just like, feeling so bad for Larry. I was just like, I'm ready to, fuck up everybody, because Larry's just not going to take that punch. And I'm like,
Larry
I'll do
needed
it
a Latin wife. That's what he needed, all right, to
Yes.
fight for him.
Yes, he needs someone, be in his corner and be like, you know what, woman, let's throw hands, fuck you, Cy, this damn kid Clive, where it's just like, I'm going to pay you off, but I'm not really going to pay you off, but I'm going to fuck up your life. You're not getting your tenure.
Well, that's the other thing about the tenure issue.
With Cy.
Yes, which is another thing that
another curveball.
The curveball reveal, because Cy, up to this point, everyone they call him a serious man at his funeral, and then his wife is like, Cy really liked you, Larry, at his son's fucking bar mitzvah.
Yeah.
And his wife is like, Cy would have really loved this, Larry, and he put in so many letters to the tenure board for you.
That slight change in his expression,
where he realizes that Cy has orchestrated the worst days of my life.
Yep.
The man is dead. I cannot get my revenge, but he is what was forcing the worst day of my life. The worst days of my life.
And I paid for his funeral.
Yep.
Yeah. The fuck. Oh my God. Fuck
and
Cy Abelman.
And even if I tried to talk shit and say, hey, he did this to me, the letters are anonymous. It's like, how are you gonna know?
Yeah.
How are you gonna prove it?
Is Cy Abelman the greatest villain of cinema history? It doesn't go like Hannibal Lecter, Darth Vader, Joker, and then Cy Abelman. Is he in the top 5 of greatest cinematic villains? You're thinking about it. You're like, is anyone else make you more angry than Cy Abelman?
The wife.
You know what? that just crossed in my head.
Is Cy Abelman a villain?
No, you're gonna love this. I can't believe I'm gonna say this. Is Cy Abelman the Phantom Menace?
Get the fuck out of here. I mean, I like a little bit low key. He's this specter that hangs over. Like, once you get that reveal and you realize that Cy Abelman, his the memory, the serious man, all this, he's that specter that lays over all of Larry's life leading up to this. And you're like, what? But why? Why is Cy so evil? Like, it's not even because the whole tenure thing, sending in the letters, why was that a thing he wanted to do? That's another. I mean,
why?
Why?
And because
because fuck you, Larry. That's why.
Yeah, I took your woman. I'm gonna take your job.
I'm gonna take your house.
I'm gonna take your house. I'm gonna take your kids.
I'm gonna leave you with nothing, Larry. Nothing.
And that makes that another question. Why did they his house looked Because we get one snippet of his house when he's leaving to go
It's
golfing.
so much nicer than
It
Larry's.
looks
Yeah.
nice, so why just like...
Because he can.
Because he can.
Yeah.
Because he can get away with it.
Cy would have moved into Larry's house and still kept his house as like the summer break room.
Yeah.
Right? He would have still kept
Oh,
both houses just to rub it in.
Absolutely.
Or he would have sold it to Larry for double the price.
Yeah.
Just to twist the knife in.
Yeah. No, absolutely. No, I just... I'm proud of myself for saying that, by the way.
I mean, you're kind of right. He just lords
I
over this
kind
whole
of thought you were
movie.
going to say he was the Phantom of the Opera, and I'm like, well, he is orchestrating, and the music's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm like, that could be a good comparison. But yeah, Phantom Menace, that works too.
It's also an interesting thing about the whole thing where it's like Larry gets that snippet of information, but it's not even really an answer. It's an answer that raises more questions. We get the answer: who was sending in the tenure letters? Oh, it was Cy Abelman. But
Flip side, maybe he was sending in some good letters.
And it's still a mystery who
It's both.
sent the letters.
Yeah.
It's Schrodinger's cat, like at the beginning of the movie.
Yes.
He's either sending the bad letters or he's sending the good letters, but we won't know.
That's a great transition point because we didn't even mention. Well, we did mention, but Larry's is a physics professor, and he brings up the whole Schrodinger's cat thing. Inside the box, the cat could be living or dead, and you don't know until you observe it. You know, and that's the whole reason Clive is asking for a better grade, because he's like, I understand the fable, and he's like, yeah, but you don't understand the math, the reason behind it. And Larry keeps getting presented with the fables, but he's not getting presented with what he wants as a physicist, the math behind it, the reason behind it.
Yeah.
And then he has the dream where he does the whole like 15 by 40 foot board where it's like, this proves that there is no points. That is meaningless.
That none of us have any idea what's going on. Which again,
True.
Didn't really need a board to show that, right?
Yeah.
Which is like that, but that's the thing. Like Larry needs the math. He needs the proof. He needs the science to prove that it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
He needs to make sense of the senseless.
Yeah.
And it's like, Larry, just take a knee, man.
Yeah.
Just accept it.
Just accept that we don't get answers for a lot of things. Yeah, sometimes we get that satisfaction. But even when we do, it's not always clear.
Yeah.
Like the ending, like when you first see the ending, you're like, but it's one of those things where you think about it more and more, it makes sense. Like, well, what happens next? Which is just like, well, it doesn't really matter. Just how you're going to deal with it. I feel like this ending is kind of similar because I know when this came out, people were like, it doesn't have an ending. It has an ending. Like
it's just not the ending you thought you were going to get.
Like No Country for Old Men, like that ending. People bitched and moaned and complained at the time. We just move another movie that doesn't have an ending. It has an ending. He gives up. He's overwhelmed. He's outgunned. He doesn't get it.
He has no country. He's an old man. He has no
that's in
country
the title.
left.
It's just like, and he gives the bad guy gets away.
The good guy, the protagonist, dead.
Which is funny because he's not really the protagonist. Is Ed Tom.
Yeah, it's like Llewellyn is just the guy moving the action forward.
Yes, and just he gives up. And there's so many articles about it. They're like, oh, he should have done this, and oh, like I remember, like back when IMDb had a message board, which I was active on. I remember the longest one was how the fuck, like how would you geniuses have ended it? Like just people talking about like a shootout with between Llewellyn and Anton, like shit like that. Like
here's the wild thing. Have you ever read the book?
No, I haven't.
Okay, I actually read the book earlier this year because I did a whole thing where I was just reading a shit ton, but I read it and the movie, how the movie plays out, all the character interactions, everything. The book is the exact
That's
same.
what I heard. Like even him describing the dream is apparently word for word.
Oh yeah, it is literally word for word, exact same across the whole books, across the book and the film. Even it's like, oh, you would expect, well, is there like the shootout between Llewellyn and the gang? It's the exact same in the book. So it's almost like a thing like when you read the book and the prose are different, it's a whole like different medium for it. But even then, it's like you still get that sense of that's the only way it could have ended. That is the only way you could have shut the door on this story of the old man realizing there's no country left for him to roam.
And I love that that dream, like I tear up every time I watch that, like him talking about that dream. I think it's beautiful, a beautiful ending. And I feel the same way about Serious Man. Like, how else do you end that story? Like, really?
Mm-hmm.
It's the thing. It's like when I mentioned at the beginning. It's a pot boiler. I'm waiting for it to boil over and for the shoe to drop. And it's the subtle, and it's the thing where the shoe doesn't really drop. It's just the heat finally just gives like the boil over, and it's like that's just how it ends.
Mm-hmm.
Like thematically, the film has reached its climax.
Yeah.
Larry has made the moral choice of what he was going to do. He has lost his test of faith, and now he is going to pay for it. His son has reached adulthood and realizes the tornado of life that is torn through Larry's is coming for him.
Mm-hmm.
Because now he is a man, he is no longer a child, and God now sees him as such, and he shall give him the problems of a man.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of the problems of a child, which is running away from your fucking bully over $20 in weed, you know?
And
Yeah.
trying to get your I was gonna say your iPod back, but this is the 60s.
I mean, that was an iPod 1, right? You know?
Yeah.
Transistor
It
radio.
is radio.
iPod negative
12?
12, 20, whatever. No, it's more questions like, what if he was able to give Fagel that $20 in the beginning? Would the tornado have come?
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole other thing. Is it the thing because he gets the radio and it's like you get this, talisman of your youth back that was taken away at the beginning. You get it back now, and now you're complete and have your talisman to reach into like the fables of adulthood, right? It's like the hero getting his sword and now he's going into his hero's journey, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the thing like Coen Brothers do the whole deal where we are seeing all of our little characters either like we're following one character from the beginning to end, and everyone else we're seeing them in transition of their own little stories.
Yeah.
So it's a really interesting movie. That's the thing that makes me angry. It's a very interesting and deep movie that just makes me angry.
I guess the question is, do you like it, and would you recommend it?
Ooh, we're at that part.
I'm on the fence.
You're on the fence?
Yeah,
on the
I'm
fence?
on the fence. I'd give it another watch, but I'm on
Okay.
the fence.
So would you say you wouldn't recommend it?
I'd recommend it.
You would recommend it?
I would recommend it because I mean it really gets you thinking.
Yeah.
It puts life into perspective.
I'm probably in the same camp because I watched it, and I think on my letterbox I gave it a 4 out of 5. I'm like, this is a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's well made. It's a solid film. All the characters or actors are doing their best. The script's actually pretty deep and dense. It's the thing where me liking it, it's like, goddamn, I feel so bad, and it's a really heavy fucking movie. So I would give it another rewatch just so I could probably absorb more of the film and really like, have another taste of the wine glass and really get the aromas and shit. Be all fancy and whatnot. Let me be fancy, damn it.
Because Dean drinks so much wine.
Oh, so much
Yeah.
wine. I didn't have cheese or beer battered cheese curds, not 3 days ago. But yeah, I would recommend it, especially if you are one of these people who are into like philosophy or the thematic depths a film can reach, or the ideas of film and its relation to God in
So you're gonna show it
life.
to Randy?
Oh, Randy would fucking adore this movie, or he would hate it.
It's Schrodinger's cat all over again.
Schrodinger's cat all over again. Randy either hates a movie or loves a movie, and there's no in between, and you don't know until you ask him.
And that's fine. And I'm curious if anyone found the moments that I find funny also found funny. And I'll give you a couple of examples.
Yes.
Mhm.
I'll give you a few
Thomas
more.
giving us examples?
Yes.
Oh, he
yes.
would never.
No.
He's so vague and loose with things.
So little things that, again, I can't put my finger on it really, but like when I think it's the second time Larry goes to see his lawyer, and he's talking about, I think she drained our accounts,
Mhm.
took all my money. I think she's
Been stealing cash
I
out of
think-
my
Yeah.
wallet.
And when he starts to break down and cry, it's funny to me, because I
His
don't.
lawyer's like, oh, no,
He's like,
no,
"Oh,
Larry.
yeah."
Like he
Just
spilled
like-
a glass of milk, and he's like, oh, no, Larry, don't try and clean it up.
Like just the combination of all those things, like how he doesn't know how to console someone.
Yeah. It's like, don't do that.
Yeah, it's like,
don't
no,
cry.
no, it's okay. Just like he starts to break at that, and like, cause I laugh, like, again, I laugh at that moment.
Yeah.
Because just it has to do with the delivery and just how like like, oh, it seems like that's like this first time like breaking down over this. And yeah, it's a big thing, but like all it really takes is like one extra thing to get you to break when you've been kind of
pushes you over the edge.
Yeah. It's interesting that his break isn't like a violent, angry break. It's I am so emotionally overwhelmed, I have to cry.
Yeah.
Like it tells something about his character. He's not a violent man. He's a serious man.
Yeah.
Unlucky man.
Oh, poor man.
No, just and even when he come, like, when he gets the phone call, from his son. Like, just like the second phone call, just like, Dad, you gotta come home. He's like, is it F Troop? It's like, no, something's wrong with Mom. And then he comes home, and then like you hear his wife like sobbing violently in the other room, and you're like, what's going on? And then his daughter's like, does this mean I can't go? She doesn't give a shit. She's like, does this mean I can't go to the hole?
His son barely gives a shit.
Yeah. No one gives a shit. It's like, oh yeah, Cy Abelman died in a car crash, just casually. And then the son walks in. He's like, so you coming back home? Oh, an F Troop. Like, just like,
it's still fuzzy, you know?
Yeah, just all that. And him screaming, what? Like he's spitting.
Yeah.
Like that. Those moments I find funny. Like, just, I'm so curious to you guys, to anyone else listening. Am I psycho?
I don't think you're psycho, because like I've heard the saying before that comedy is suffering.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like when you watch the movie, it's like a thing where you look at this guy and he is like the straight man in an insane world.
Yeah.
Like, it's a thing where he's the only guy that understands that everything around him is insane. And it's kind of hilarious watching this, because it's the opposite of like a Chris Farley kind of style comedy, where he is the goofy clown. He's the bull in the china shop in a sane world. And that's like funny. This is like the opposite. Everyone around him are these weird, kooky characters, and he is just the most normal dude. And he's like, why is no one else seeing what I'm seeing?
Yeah.
Why is no one else understanding everything is fucking insane? And that does lend to comedy. My thing is like, man, the comedy they're showing is so fucking dark.
Oh, it's dark.
But with that, I would assume you would recommend. You brought it here. I assume you recommend, like it.
It's one of the films that I recommend to everyone that I know loves. Use this word, cinema. I'm on.
You didn't say it French enough. Cinema.
I'm on Uncle Marty's side as a Marvel fan and comic book movie fan. I feel like not everyone read the article itself. They
just the headline.
Just the headline and what other people are saying about it. Like, he's not using it in the traditional moving picture way.
It's a thematic thing he's talking about. It's a thematic
thing. It's for those of us that like both art, quote unquote, like art house cinema or like more slow burn stuff, and franchise stuff. We know there is a difference between Avengers Infinity War, which I love with all my heart, and There Will Be Blood.
Those are different movies.
It's once you love both of those, maybe not equally, but in different ways, one is cinema and one is something different. And the different is good in a different way. Like, I think he even said, like, it's like a theme park ride. As a theme park lover, as a Disneyland nerd my whole life, that's a good thing. It's just different. Like,
you can get enjoyment out of a fine dinner in Magic Mountain.
Yes. I can go to Disneyland and eat a bread bowl next to Rivers of America where there's too many people around me and enjoy that as much as being at home by myself listening to Mozart. It's just different.
So you would call this cinema?
Yes, I would.
Now, do you want to know that? Now, before we get out, I did bring up, the box office and the Best Picture stuff, because this would have been a year you actually watched Miss Boo.
Yeah, this was the year I graduated high school.
Ooh, fancy you. So, this movie, it had a budget $7 million, made $32 million, so it was a hit.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was nominated for Best Picture.
I didn't know that.
Was nominated in Best Picture in 2009. That was the ceremony. So what came up against it, and boo, it was one of the greatest artistic achievements in cinema history.
I'm ready.
It was against Up.
Oh God.
First 5 minutes of Up, greatest short film ever made. Precious,
Okay.
Inglorious Bastards,
Ooh.
District 9,
Okay.
and Avatar.
I
The winner was The Hurt Locker.
Yeah, I remember that.
Is this a stacked year or what?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see. Like I didn't know. I didn't remember because, like I said last time, I selectively follow the Oscars.
You follow when a movie you like is up.
Yeah, but it's weird because that was a great year. I have no memory of like half of those being nominated. I don't remember District 9 being. District 9 was nominated.
District 9 was nominated for Best Picture. Here's the thing: it was the Avatar year, and everyone was like, "Well, the last time Cameron made a movie was Titanic, and he won every fucking Oscar."
Yes.
So no one wanted to watch Avatar win 11 fucking Oscars.
It's funny to me that was like the weakest. I liked
Yes.
Avatar.
Yeah.
But I was compared to the rest. I remember being happy, like, oh, good, The Hurt Locker. I don't want it to be Avatar,
Right?
Just like
Same.
Every dude, okay, I love this, and this is one of my favorite clips. And you can watch this. You go home, watch your Oscars at 09, and they're about to, because James Cameron's been getting up there, getting his shit ton, and they're like, now for Best Picture. And we're gonna announce, and James Cameron is halfway out of his seat when they announce The Hurt Locker.
Does
and then
he?
yeah, he's halfway out of his seat. They announce The Hurt Locker, and then he's like, oh, and he sits back down and
sit
starts
down,
clapping.
Jim.
I love that. He sits down and he starts clapping, and then his
You're
ex-wife who
giving this to
directed
your
The Hurt
fucking
Locker goes up
ex-wife.
and collects her reward. And it's like that's the most poetic thing where he's literally halfway out of his seat, and then he's like, oh god damn it, and he starts clapping. Because James Cameron, like, look, like I get it, like he made more money than God, and he's made some of the best movies ever, but he's a little full of himself.
He likes to suck his own dick.
Just a little bit.
I mean, did he earn that right? Sure.
When you direct two of the highest grossing films of all time and Terminator 2, I give it to you. All right.
Yeah, like no, I love James Cameron. I haven't seen the second Avatar yet. I'll get around to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like how do you follow up Alien? That's impossible. He did it. And some people would argue it's better. I mean, I think they're both equals and different.
Equal in different ways,
Yes.
But fucking Terminator 2,
like one of the best action movies ever made. Like just, but I remember The Hurt Locker. I was so relieved.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, good, because that was beautiful. So just
this was also the year everyone thought Tarantino was going to get his best picture
I
nod
would've
with
been-
Inglourious Bastards.
That's my favorite of his. Is Inglourious Bastards.
It's a really good movie.
For a while, I was all in on Inglourious Bastards. I just watched Jackie Brown for the first time
Brown's
like a
great.
week ago. I think that's his best movie. I think
It's
it's his
funny
most
'cause he didn't
mature
write
movie. yeah, I know, which is wild to me because I'm like, this is
Yeah.
like his most mature movie I think he's ever made, which is wild that he
Yeah.
made it fucking like 20 years ago at this
Yeah.
point. But that 2009, this movie, Serious Man drops, it gets all this critical praise, it makes its profit, and it disappears into the ether.
I can't believe I don't remember that it was because I watched it the same year, and I can't believe I don't remember it being nominated. Because watching it last night, I was like, I literally had a thought. It's a shame this wasn't nominated for anything. I literally thought that.
Well, it was nominated also for Best Original Screenplay.
Yeah,
Lost it, I think, to The Hurt Locker as well.
Mhm.
It didn't win.
Yeah.
But like you gotta think like fuck. I know how people say like movies have gotten like movies are dead ever since like the 2000s or whatever because like, oh, we just get franchise films.
that's a
But
bunch of shit. They're still out there.
they're still good movies. I mean, this year, honestly, that Best Picture run, like Up, that movie still holds up. That's still a great
yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
Inglourious Bastards, like, say what you want, it's still one of Tarantino's best.
Yeah.
I think District 9, still a good movie.
That's one of my favorite science fictions of all time.
Yeah. And I mean, Avatar, Pocahontas Dances with
It's
Wolves. It's
fine.
impressive.
I mean, it's still like I didn't hate it. Like,
Yeah.
James still knows how to do action. He's still great at his visuals. I mean, even his emotion when he does it, he's really good at it.
Yeah.
It's a thing where
it's simple, yes, but he's still
he is the greatest crowd pleaser director
Oh, yeah.
to have ever lived.
yeah.
Right? Like, it's him and Spielberg in terms of, like, I can please the most amount of people with my movies. Like, Cameron might be the best crowd pleaser.
And that's
Ever.
I mean, he's great at what he does. Like one of my favorite little tidbits is also he's willing to do whatever it takes
Yeah.
to get what he
Yeah.
wants. Like one of my favorite little tidbits is again, Terminator 2, one of the best action movies ever made. One of. Not the.
We'll
But we'll get
Predator
into that.
exists, all right?
Predators exist. But if I may drift off a little bit, what I think is the greatest of all time. I'm gonna. This isn't. And by the way, this isn't an opinion. This is fact. I have science to back. No,
Sir. If he doesn't say Predator, I'm going to be very concerned about his science.
It's not Predator, but Predator is number 2.
Die Hard?
No.
Oh, is it a John McTiernan?
No.
Last Action Hero?
No.
That's a John McTiernan.
That's John
Oh,
McTiernan.
okay.
Okay, Aliens is an obvious choice, but I don't think you're an Aliens guy.
Turner and Hooch?
I'm surprised you're not guessing it because it's a newer one.
It's a newer one?
It's a new movie.
Top Gun Maverick?
Newer, quote unquote.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. I'll give you. It came out in 2015. I'll tell you that.
2015? What fucking Mission Impossible came out in 2015? All right, what is it? What is it?
Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh,
okay.
of course. Of fucking course. Yeah,
That's a good
it's
movie.
kind of good.
I will defend that to my
How many times
death.
did you go see it?
You and me went to go see that. That was one of our, like, it
One of
wasn't
our
our first dates.
It wasn't our first date, but it was one of our first dates.
Our first dates was, our first movie date was Amazing Spider-Man 2. I remember
Yeah.
that. And then we went to go see Mad Max Fury Road, and I think I saw that movie like 3 times in theaters. That movie slaps.
Oh, I'm gonna use this word. It's perfect.
So good.
Anyway,
It surprises me that movie does not top lists of best of the decades.
yeah,
So surprising.
yeah.
but I mean, Predator exists though. But
yeah,
we'll get to-
Predator. Yeah.
Okay.
McTiernan has 2 in the top 5.
Okay.
So.
That's for a later podcast. But yeah, wild to think. Serious Man comes out, all this praise kind of just disappears into the ether.
Mhm.
But I think we all ended up really liking, or maybe not liking the movie, but
Yeah.
appreciating the movie.
Yeah.
But that brings us to the end of A Serious Man, because we've been in here for like almost 2 hours.
Just about.
Just about.
Proud of
Just
myself.
Thomas is
I'm-
working on getting
I'm
the
gonna-
longest
next
episode.
time we're shooting for 3 hours.
Thomas is going to bring us. So I brought Ben-Hur, and I want to do a scene-by-scene analysis.
Oh, if we ever do Kubrick, oh boy,
Oh.
we're not fucking going anywhere.
Just wait, Thomas.
Just wait, we got plans.
There's plans.
But before we get out, next week we don't know what it's going to be.
We don't know. You don't know. So we'll all figure it out on social media soon.
But if you wanted to pop in to the podcast and listen to whatever that episode will be, where can they go?
You can go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and YouTube, where we post, our, current episodes. YouTube is kind of weird because
There's a space between current and past episodes, but I am
Spotify and Apple. It's all of our current up-to-date episodes, and then I'll get a notice from YouTube, and it's like, oh yeah, Singing in the Rain, and I'm like, didn't we do that beginning of the year? It was cold.
It was in March.
I was like, I remember
yeah.
being cold when we recorded that.
Wow.
Yes, but YouTube, I do big batch uploads of our previous month, so usually it's like 8 episodes get uploaded, and then there's a little bit of a break because I'm lazy. But I am trying to get us closer and closer to being maybe not simultaneous, but within a few days of each other.
Oh, that's fair.
But
Yeah.
if you don't want to listen on Spotify, you can check out our huge back catalog of episodes. We have over 100 episodes you can go back and listen to. If you didn't like this one, Thomas was on Mulholland Drive, and that was
He
a great
was.
episode. And you can check all those out on our YouTube channel, The Film Vault. That is The Film Vault on YouTube.
And if you want to get, what our next movie is going to be, because we're excited to figure that out too, you can go to Instagram at the Film Club Podcast, where we post upcoming episodes, daily stories, random adventures we go on. But I think someone else is also on Instagram if you want to plug your Instagram page.
What's coming up? What's happening, Mr. Thomas?
It's kind of the same as it was last time. Again, my Instagram is alternate, but it's split up by periods, so alt.ernate. It's weird and moody and really stretched out and cryptic, especially as of late. As far as what I'm working on, I do have more things that are in the back burner that are closer. A music video that I want to shoot as soon as I can, but waiting on the artist for that.
Mhm.
A couple shorts that are on the horizon that I'm saving up a funding for.
We're working on something. Hopefully we'll be good on next month.
Yeah. I'm happy to share a little bit of what one of those films is going to be. It has a title. Most of the script is done. It's called The Somerton, and it is a psychological thriller haunted hotel / dream film.
Ooh.
Very cool.
So we'll see how that pans out.
When you release it, we'll have you on the podcast. We'll talk about it.
Yes.
But yeah, I want to do the whole festival circuit for my next like short, which will be that one. So
Nice.
yeah, it's a long-term planning.
All right.
That's it.
Sick. Well, I guess have a good week, everybody.
We'll see you next week at the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
See you.